This is Sway.
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 In the morning.
In the morning.
In the morning.
Shake it.
Wake your punk ass up. That crust out your eyes.
I'm really excited about today's guest. Been able to watch this dude for years. We met in the past. I'm not sure if he even remembers.
I totally remember.
You remember?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's what's up, man. And this dude, his story is so interesting. It's a different one. You know, what we're starting to find out is Charles Hamilton, who's here with us today. Give him a big round of applause.
Woo!
Thank you.
You know, you came on the scene at a good time. You know, it was the pendulum was swinging. We start seeing eras changing, and because of the internet, we start seeing a lot of artists like Soulja Boy or like Currency or even Big Sean or like yourself who were able to utilize the digital platform and kind of do it yourself. You came in at do-it-yourself age, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you remember those times when you first came into the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time conversing with my fans. I didn't really have like an internet PR team. Like I would talk to the fans myself, and ultimately I ended up talking to fans' parents, and people who wanted to collaborate with me would hit me up directly. So there was like no filter, and like I had a studio in my house, so I would, make a song and then go right on AIM, because AIM was big at the time.
Right.
AOL Instant
Woo!
Messenger.
Throwback.
Wow.
I would go on AIM, and I gave out my screen name on a mixtape. So like I had a bunch of people messaging me, and then I would go on MySpace. MySpace started to die down at that time, so it was Facebook. So I just befriended my fans. So like for me, it was for the personal connection between myself and my fans. Like obviously I had to promote the music, but I got more interested in what people were thinking. There's a lot of I don't want to say heartbreak, but there a lot of hearts are on the line, and people they want to feel as close to the person that they've been connecting to musically as they can. And I remember I told this when I met him. I remember the only thing I wanted to do was have a conversation with Eminem.
Wow.
And when I had the opportunity to converse with him, I was like, okay, hopefully I've made this kind of impact in the lives of other people, and I'll be able to converse with them and be a beacon of light for them. And it wasn't as tricky as it is now. Like it wasn't as cutthroat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you like, obviously you go to a show, people hand you a demo tape and they're like, yo, can you like listen to my demo? Like, I respect your music, I love your music. But in my case, it was like, yo, I really need you to listen to this, because this is like a response to everything you had been saying in your music. It's not a diss, but it's coming from the heart. I need you to hear this genuinely and try to like feel better about yourself, because I'm listening. My music is very personal.
Yeah.
And like there are some elements that I got into with my music that people could relate to but weren't comfortable with.
Like what?
I'm not sure if I can talk about it on the air. It's just that personal. Like it's kind of like almost like cutting yourself to see how much it bleeds, but not realizing how much damage you're doing to your veins until you get to the doctor. You know what I mean? Like you end up bleeding so much. And like I bled for my audience. And I wasn't aware of how deep the gashes were until I started making the music that I'm making nowadays, which is a lot more feel good. There's a lot of passion in my music, but I've been able to translate this passion into something positive, as opposed to going down a road for acceptance.
Yeah.
It's more so sharing experiences of love and life in general in a manner that will keep people wanting to progress, as opposed to going down the wrong path.
Charles Hamilton is here with us. Man, this is really interesting.
Definitely.
Man. I'm hearing something in an interview I've never heard before. Because when you look at your story, you wouldn't know necessarily that all this was happening. I mean, you were on the double XL freshman cover at one point in your
2009.
career. 2009, right? You had a lot of buzz with some of the music you were releasing. You got to deal with Interscope Records at that time when all these great things were happening. On the exterior, what was happening to you? What were you going through on the interior?
I was very withdrawn. I had always been withdrawn. I didn't go to parties. I didn't go to clubs. Whenever I would perform, I would leave right after. I was trying to figure me out. I was trying to understand who I am as an individual. I had shared so much of myself as an artist, but there's no separation for me between the music I make and the blog entries and who I am. That's something that I'm working on this time around, is making sure people are aware, like, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit, but at the same time, I can still hold a conversation without wanting to break down because you listen to one of my songs. Like earlier, I forgot your name. I'm
Tracy.
sorry. Tracy earlier told me that her favorite mixtape of mine was "Well, Isn't This Awkward?"
Mm-hmm.
And as crazy about Rihanna as I was at the time, I almost drove myself to the point of insanity talking about a relationship that required a little bit too much focus, knowing that on the surface she had a boyfriend. Mm-hmm. So, like, I put myself out there and people liked it, but, that was one of those projects that if I had Rihanna's email address, I just sent it to her. I probably shouldn't have made it a big scene. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't trying to get hot off of Rihanna's name. Yeah. And in the situation of love, people always tell me my love songs are very potent, but I can't keep falling in love just to write a love song. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because that not only does that taint the value of love, that taints every relationship I'm going to be in. I remember in high school, this girl said, I want to go out with Charles so he can write a song about me. And like all the girls laughed, and I was just sitting there like, is that the only reason why you want to go? You fucking suck.
Tell him.
Let me ask you this: did you ever meet Rihanna?
I met her once, but I froze up.
Oh,
I totally
come on,
froze
Charles!
up.
Like you froze up and didn't say anything, or you said something dumb?
No, I said, look, the words aren't coming to me right now. I just want you to know you're absolutely beautiful, and shook her hand. And and then she started talking to the dude from Entourage.
Oh,
damn. That was bad.
Charles. Hug him.
Lost.
Grand opening, grand closing.
Terrible. Devastating.
But I want to talk more about your career, Charles Hamilton. And a lot of people have always wondered what happened with Charles Hamilton, including myself. And you faced a lot of adversity, and I want to go through some of these moments with you. And I think your story is going to be very beneficial for a lot of people who tuned in today and who will see this online. If you want to talk with Charles Hamilton, 888-742-3345. Let's take them back. Brooklyn girls. Charles Hamilton's here. You produced that too, right?
Yes, I did.
What a career thus far. It's interesting now because, back in the day when you came into the music business, it was solely about your music. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you can make it in entertainment or become known in entertainment, and it has nothing to do about your music.
All spectacles.
And that's, in a sense, that's a hard juggle for any young artist to have to deal with. On top of still trying to pursue your career. You've had a lot of ups and downs in your career. The internet, sometimes it's the gift, and sometimes it could be the curse. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Who am I to disagree?
Yeah, right. And I remember the whole, when you became viral after being punched by your ex, right? Mm-hmm. But you dealt with that. What was, I mean, the impact? I don't think anybody ever have felt that kind of impact of backlash from the internet at that point. How did you take it at that time?
I exclusive to Sway in the morning.
Okay.
I was on a very self-destructive path.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want it anymore, and I figured, I took the situation. And thinking on my feet, I told the videographer, because he wasn't going to put the video out. Thinking on my feet, I told him to put it out, because I was just like, look, like, just pay attention to the music. Don't pay attention to me. A couple of bloggers already said the same thing, but I was just like, I didn't want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured in this macho hip hop thing, if I'm seen getting punched by a girl, it'd probably piss you off a little bit as far as, what's hip hop and what's not. So, be done with me is how I felt. You know what I mean? If you're not going to listen to the quality of the music, and you're not going to comment on the quality of the music positively, then I just don't want it anymore. Plus, there was so much stuff that was going on behind the scenes that I was staying away from by staying in my house, that I was just like, I got to be out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of an escape tactic, and it was the night started off fun. Like, I think that's what I'm.
That's how every
Always
great
does.
story should start.
It was a good night, right?
The night started
man.
off fun.
the night was crazy, and then it just got really personal, like really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I guess that's just the nature of life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there'll be ups and downs, and she's cool. Like, she's a really cool girl, but I think our relationship was very volatile.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there was no it wasn't domestically volatile. It was just, we were young. I had money, I wasn't spending on a bunch of chicks. Like, I was trying to spoil her.
Yeah.
And she wasn't. She was kind of tomboyish. Like, not trying to play her.
Yeah.
But she didn't like being spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I got all this stuff. I got a bunch of niggas I'm spending money on anyway, and they're my friends. So why don't I just try to get them out of the way and focus on my girl? And she became my focus, but she had to share me with music, as every woman does, and it just got really bad really quick.
Yeah. Do you still communicate with her? I mean, because that changed her life too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, she says every time I start getting popular, she gets popular.
Oh wow, man! She might want to do some merchandising or something, right?
Man, I think she does photography.
Yeah. Now, that was one thing, and then when you got released from Interscope, correct? And I read that you didn't even know you were being released.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, I was at another girl's house, and she was reading Rap Radar, and the story came out that I had gotten dropped, and she brought it to my attention. I was like, well, I ain't getting laid tonight.
You didn't. She was supposed to be the opposite, you know.
I mean, yeah. Well, I'm working on not looking as hard on myself as I used to, looking down on myself as hard as I used to.
Yeah.
Like, I had every reason in the world to be optimistic, but like, I guess because of clinical reasons, I've always been down.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily easy to accept good things being done or said about you when you have the condition I have. So when she was trying to like rub my back and say everything's gonna be okay, I was like, yeah, but this is all I do. This is how I met you. This is it for me. Like, I really couldn't stand myself, and I was able to make the kind of music that I wanted to make after the deal, but the resources got low.
Yeah.
So like when I got into any studio, I just tried to shut it down. You know what I mean? And that may have led to me saying some pretty self-damaging things, but You know, I starting off as a battle rapper, you having ammunition on yourself as evidenced by 8 Mile disables your competition from being able to say anything negative about you. So I was giving everybody ammunition, you know, diss me, battle me, do whatever you can. Don't sub diss me, but, you know, go hard. And, you know, it never really happened. So I was just out there just cutting myself and bleeding really for nothing. But as it turns out, I was helping kids who were physically doing the same thing.
You said your clinical condition. When were you diagnosed, and what were you diagnosed with?
I got long story short, bipolar. It came to a head in 2010. My mom, I was all over the place, and I was sleeping in this abandoned house, and one of my fans found out, and I ended up staying with him in Harlem. And my mom wasn't feeling the situation at all, so she was like, "Something's up." She knows I have a history of depression, so she had me hospitalized. And after that, you know, the psychiatric system is really whack. If I can take that, if I can take some time to talk about it, they give you medication before they do any history on you, so you're pretty subdued as soon as you get in. So you could go in there, you know, you could diagnose yourself with post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, I lost a family member and I'm really hurt, and they'll give you a medication to just subdue you, and then they'll interview you, and then they'll give you more medication on top of the medication they're giving you, and the side effects would be that of a cold. So then you end up on Benadryl, and that puts you to sleep. So now you're on 3 different medications before you even see the doctor, so the doctor can tell you what's going on. And if you have, and they give you a questionnaire. So if you answer, you cannot be honest in this questionnaire, because if you answer it the wrong way, you're definitely staying in there for about 6 months.
Wow.
So like
What's some of the questions?
Right.
like, have you ever felt suicidal? Like, if you sit back and think about it, like, yeah, you know, I've had some rough days, and you check yes, game over.
It's a wrap.
You can't, like, there's no, I learned so much. Before I went to jail, I'm sure we're gonna talk about that in a second. I learned how to write in my head in a mental hospital, because like my hands were shaking because of the medication. So I started formulating sentences in my head, and I was afraid the medication was going to limit what I can do. I still get the shakes here and there, but it's really uncomfortable. Like, you can't, I mean, they have a television in one room, and they have it on a certain channel. Like, it was almost like jail. Like, that was kind of reason why I decided to even go, is just to compare and contrast, because, you know, you really can't do anything. And if you argue with them, yes, you get put into a straitjacket. I didn't get put into a straitjacket. I voluntarily went into the ISO room.
Yeah.
But
you weren't in a straitjacket.
I wasn't in a straitjacket.
Did they have the padding on the walls?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was like, I had the mania from being in the studio all the time. Like, my booth had padded walls. So like, when I was in the booth, I was just like, I feel like I'm in the booth. So I was in the padded room rapping.
Comfortable.
But I had to get that out of my system. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't doing anything but music. And I would do it again. It's just, I need to be surrounded by people who truly care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you, like, I don't know what the numbers are on Brooklyn Girls, but from what I understand, it was pretty successful. But I wasn't out promoting it. Like, I stayed at SOBs because it was in New York, and I had a house upstate, and my manager worked it out so I can perform there, so at least people could come from out of town and watch me perform and stuff. But it wasn't, I didn't push the touring volume knob all the way up. I could have definitely been more out there and outgoing, but I had my blog so people can catch up with me there. I had so many elements that didn't require me to leave the house. So when I was in the mental hospital, like I was like craving a blog, but I was in locations in the mental hospital where I could just think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about something other than music.
Did you ever have that moment, like a moment where you looked around and said, "What the hell am I doing here?" Like, or
Well, it led to a lot of resentment toward my mom. Like,
Okay.
I love my mom, don't get me wrong, but I was like, you know, all the stuff I've been through that you don't know about. Why didn't you go that far in the past? And, her answer was she was there. You know what I mean? I've seen therapists, but it didn't require like a third party. This time around, I wasn't with mom. I was on my own I had my own house, and I was scaring people with how distant I was. I wasn't hard to find, but that was a problem too. Like any rapper who's not hard to find is either a gangster or just doesn't realize their appeal. So I might have been the latter, but in the mental hospital, I took account of the fun I didn't have and decided if I do this again, I'm going to try to enjoy life a little bit more.
Is it possible to befriend anyone in a mental hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually met a girlfriend in the mental hospital.
you met your girlfriend in the mental hospital.
I a girlfriend.
I'm not sure if that's where you want to shop, Charles.
I know.
Not stereotyping.
I know.
So how'd that go?
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
Did you write a song about her?
Yeah. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Right. Did anyone pay you a visit?
One of my best friends, his name is Joe. He came to visit me at the mental hospital, and he was like, "Look, we got to get you out of here." Like I'm a friend of his family. So when he got word that I was in his area in a mental hospital, he was a fan of my music. Like he was the family, the Ruperto family sees me as family, but he was the family member that was also a fan.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, my favorite rapper not only is a friend of the family, but is in a mental hospital. We got to get him out.
Yeah.
And he came to the hospital. He introduced himself, and I was like, wow, like I was kind of shook up a little bit. Like, really? Like, are you saying you want to be my friend? You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, all right. So he brought me Taco Bell.
That's a good dude.
It's a good friend right there, man.
Compared to the hospital food,
Yeah.
shit.
I'm thinking about the Commons area. Did you ever hang out with the other patients that were in the hospital? What was that like? Because we see these images on movies and it look
Right.
I mean, it's not. I find it interesting how accurate mental hospitals and movies are.
wow.
There are some kooky people. Not trying to judge them or disrespect them, but I've had conversations about everything in a mental hospital, and I don't find them crazy. But who am I to judge? Like I want. None of us were comfortable.
Okay.
So that's one thing we had in common.
Okay.
None of us were comfortable,
Sure.
but I would try. Whenever the nurses would get disrespectful, I'd be the one to say, "Nah, don't do it," because you're gonna end up with an injection and another argument. So don't do it to yourself.
Don't even respond. You brought up jail. How did you end up in jail?
I punched a cop.
Yeah.
Punched a cop. Stole my dad's girlfriend's car. I don't regret it, but
Were you really playing like basketball outside of it? Was that true?
yeah, I mean, like there's so many like
just
that's true. That's true, but like there's another side to it. I'm taking responsibility for what I did.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like making observations, I decided I'm going to turn up in my hometown. and turning up led to the cops saying, "What are you doing?" But really, my turn up was like, "Yeah, I see y'all niggas not necessarily doing your job, so I'm gonna cut up, and y'all in Cleveland knows who I am." So, but that was the wrong approach.
So you punched the cop, and then how long did you stay in jail?
About 8 months.
Like, damn.
But because I had the history of mental illness, they put me in court-ordered rehab and stuff.
Okay.
So they looked out for me.
Okay. Charles Hamilton is here, man. This is, first of all, I appreciate your honesty.
Right.
Your transparency, especially when it comes to, psychiatrics and the mental hospital and what goes on with that. But I want to continue the conversation and open up the phone lines too and allow some of your fans to talk to, if you don't mind. And then I want to move into what's going on now as well. Now you and I got a lot in common. Number one, your passion and love for music, and number two, your honesty. When you reflect on who you are, who you were, who you are, and who you're going to be. And number three, maybe could be one of the most important of them all. You're going to be on Empire, and I was recently on Empire.
How's it coming?
I'm just saying.
How did it come back to you?
I'm just saying.
He's so creative.
Well, I'm just saying.
Charles, did you see Sway Empire?
I didn't.
I'm not watching
sorry.
your episode either. And I was on Empire, and Charles is actually going to be performing on Empire next Wednesday with Rita Ora, and he's going to be performing new music, right?
Yeah.
And tell them the title of the song.
The name of the song is New York Raining. It's a love song, and it's about a forbidden relationship, and it's I'm playing the piano on it. It's got additional production from the Invisible Men. I want to say I did my thing on it, but I put so much passion into it that like I kind of have to step back from the song. Like, wow, like I really feel this way about this girl. Like, I gotta check myself a little bit.
Yeah. Who's the girl?
Right. The muse.
She's forbidden.
She's forbidden?
Yeah.
Is it another celebrity?
Nah.
Oh, she's kind of accessible in a way.
She's married?
Nah.
She's somebody else's girlfriend?
She's still in the hospital?
Nah.
Somebody else's girlfriend?
I don't know if she's someone else's girlfriend, but I just can't talk about her.
Dude, is it Hillary Clinton?
Nah.
No, it's not Hillary? Okay. We know it's not.
That ain't his thing.
We're going to play this. It's a powerful woman, man.
Sorry.
Erasing emails should keep you safe.
30,000 of them, too.
All right. 888-742-3345. Charles Hamilton is here. That feels good.
Yeah.
Charles Hamilton, New York Raining. That's him on the keys right there, too.
Yep.
Thought it was Alicia Keys for a second, man. How many instruments you play?
Quite a few.
Yeah?
Quite a few.
Self-taught, or did you go to school for it? Or?
I started off being self-taught, and then my mom got me some professional lessons for a few years, and then I just sat behind the organist at church. I became the youngest minister of music at my church.
Wow.
So I was like playing for the children's choir and for devotion, and doing that requires like a very fast ear. Like you have to pick up where the missionaries are singing at, like way before they're finished, and they can go on. They can start a song and last for about 2 minutes, or they can go for a half hour. So it takes endurance. It takes a sharp and keen ear, and just overall awareness of the piano and the organ.
It's so interesting, Charles, that you brought up church, because I read, I don't know if it's true or not, that MC Light is your cousin.
Yes.
Ironically, her and I communicate a lot, and she'll just send me like very inspirational messages, just God sent messages at certain times. And I wanted to ask you about your relationship with her and your spirituality. Did that help you at all during some of the things that you went through?
My relationship with Light is a very strong one. She doesn't put out there too much that how close we are because we're close. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like, we're not trying to make a dynasty, but she's very supportive.
Yeah.
And I'm very supportive of her. I'm actually very protective of her.
Absolutely.
But she doesn't need the protection. But as as far as spirituality, like she was somebody I would go to when I was trying to figure out what I should do with my, I don't want to say fame, but like
experiences.
Thank you, for lack of better words. It was just like I'm listening to you. You know what I mean? Like if hopefully me listening to you would be something that would encourage you, because I get encouragement from listening to you. And it was there was a point in time where I just lost faith in everything. Yeah. And like I'm getting back into being a little more prayerful. I don't know how to describe my spirituality without getting myself in any trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to get no more trouble.
Yeah.
Nah, be honest with it. Whatever it is, it is. Do you talk with Milk and Giz too?
Nah.
No?
Yeah, just like.
Just like? Okay.
Charles, because going back, we started off with your past, and I'm thinking about you in the present. We were talking about this off air because obviously, you know, with everything that happened, there was a gaggle of blogs and media everywhere that was talking bad on your name. And I'm wondering, with your resurrection in a sense, with music, how you feel about just being back in the public eye and doing interviews.
I said this in LA. Redemption season is upon us. So whatever I may have done wrong in the eyes of others, granted, I'm not necessarily supposed to care what others think about me, but hey, like obviously somebody thought I was good enough for a second chance. So, you know, find it in your heart, Mr. Journalist, to keep an open mind to the things I have to say in my future endeavors.
That's right. That's what's up. Yeah, definitely. You got another chance. You're teaming up with Rita Ora, who I just saw in, you know, the VMAs and the Grammys, and you got together with this management team that seems to really believe in you, that also manages many others, including Iggy Azalea, and you working with the Invisible Man, who did a lot of work with her. How is it different this time around? You seem like you got a really supporting cast behind you.
Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
Not to say anything bad about the people I was around the last time, but this time we level with each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like before it was mostly me doing the compromising. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be down, so you know, I started off as like the rookie in the school studio to being the first one to get a deal out of the group. And, you know, I was like their little brother, and now I'm their boss because I got a label deal from Interscope. So I ended up being their boss. So like we really didn't interact as much as we would have if it was a simpler situation. But this time around, like they don't, my management term first only really cares about my they don't just care about my success, like they care about my growth as an individual along with my success, because they know with growth comes success.
And they've been making that investment, which is, you know, I bring that up, Heather, because sometimes you know you're only as good as your team. You know, in this case, you know, he has a great team, and honestly, listening to your story, it's a story unlike any other. And I was just telling Charles, this may be one of the most interesting conversations that I've been invested in with someone in a long time. Like everything, your transparency is learnable moments. We got Jay on the line from Arizona. Good morning, Jay.
Hey, Jay. Good morning.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for waiting, Jay. Say hello to Charles Hamilton.
Oh, what's up, Charles, man?
What's going on, dude?
Hey, ain't nothing, man. Your story, man, is crazy. Like I've been a fan of yours since way back, man. One of my favorite joints that you did is where you sample Grand Central Station. You know, that music is my only love. That's super hard, man. Like, and I've been following you since I heard that. You know what I'm saying? And I really thought that you got like a bum rap. You know, with everything that's going on, like we as humans, we make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And like the hip hop game is super unforgiving. So it's real dope to see you, you know, reemerge and get a second chance. You know, kind of you could be the phoenix that rose from the ashes. You know what I'm saying? And,
sweet, dude. Thanks.
You know, really get a chance to like show everybody what you intended to the first time around, but probably you've grown so much that the music is going to be way doper than it would have been back then. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. This is real dope to see.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, we got Rap on the line from Ohio. Good morning, Rap. How you doing? Pap, my bad. Pap, you there?
How's it going?
What's
Good
up?
morning.
Good morning. Say hello to Charles Hamilton.
Good morning.
Hey, Charles, how you doing, man?
How
I
you
just want
doing?
to say I appreciate your story so much, man. I'm only 22, but I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 12, so I've been dealing with it for a while.
Wow.
And I mean, just listening to your story, it's so inspirational to see what you can go through and still be so successful, especially out in Ohio, man. I'm in Toledo, so it's just great to see.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sure you're going to inspire a lot of people, especially those who have been diagnosed with being bipolar,
Yeah.
Can we talk about that real quick, Charles? Because on the last episode of Empire, I'm not sure if you caught it, but one of the brothers of Lucius, well, not the brothers, the sons, excuse me, has bipolar disorder. And a lot of people are going back and forth on social media saying if it is an accurate depiction of the disorder. Some people think it is, some people think it's not. For you, can you describe like a little bit of what you go through?
I say this in jest, but the medication kind of numbs me to what I do, as far as my behaviors. So, I can't really tell you. I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like. It just feels like everyone is against you. It's almost like a high, but it's a permanent high. I don't know. I really can't compare it to anything. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one.
All right.
You on the medication now?
Yeah.
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 So does the medication, in terms of your creativity, does it stifle that in any way?
I'm way deeper
than the medication. Or you're way deeper in what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What you're able to express. Does it handicap your ability to do a verse?
Hell no.
Okay, so if I
Nigga, give me 10 fingers. I'm about to
10 fingers.
5 fingers.
about to go hamburger.
Get the 5 fingers out, man. Get the 5 fingers out. Charles Hamilton
Charles
said,
Hamilton is
"Why-
all right with me, yo.
Oh man, I'm feeling this guy. Before you go into that, musically, okay, so you got New York Raining, and you're gonna perform that on Empire next week.
Nice.
All right, and then what? Like, what can we expect next?
I'm performing. I have a performance here in New York on the 26th. Secret location. South by Southwest is coming up.
Nice. We'll be there.
Let me see. We're working on a third or fourth quarter release for the album.
Okay.
We, Republic has been showing a lot of love. So I'm just.
That's the label.
Yeah.
What's the name of your management company?
Turn First.
Turn First.
Nice. Where are the pink shirts at? Are those completely retired?
Well, I switched colors. It's green now.
Okay. Got it.
Different era for me.
I'm into it.
Hey, what was that porn star name? Lacey
Duvall.
You still talk to her?
I lost my BlackBerry.
Oh, damn, dude.
Why you want to know if he talked to her, Sway?
I'm sure she was a great muse for Charles.
Fifth Amendment.
No comment on that. Lacey Charles looking for you. Yeah. Woo. Charles Hamilton, New York Raining, featuring Rita Ora. You'll see him perform it live, or you see him perform it on Empire. I warmed it up for him, though, have to be.
I know. Yeah. What number episode you was on, Sway? Like 8 or 7? Which one?
Stop.
6.
That was early. Well, my episode was when they had that spike in ratings and got that first 12 million views.
Yeah, that exclusive, because you sat him down.
Yeah, and Jamal and I sat down and spoke. By the way, Jussie Smollett is going to be on the show this coming Monday, and Hakeem is coming with us.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're going to have both the Lions brothers in. Charles Hamilton is going to be on there next week. He has no idea what we're talking about right now.
Nah, I'm aware.
You aware?
I'm up on the show. It's just when you know the side of the business that they're talking about, it's it gets a little more intriguing. So I'm giving the show. I'm letting people enjoy the show before I dive into it, because I get what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just the rest of the world is kind of catching up to where I was.
What do you?
That didn't come out right, but
No,
No,
but
it makes a lot of
experience.
sense.
What do you plan to do to make sure that you stay this path personally? Because you say you're surrounding yourself with good people that care, and it's even reflective in the energy of your music, you know. But you know, it's a constant battle, I'm sure. What are your plans? How do you plan to stay this path?
Well, I don't plan on going out much.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the people I'm around, there's contained environments. Like if I do decide to go out and hang out, like I'm gonna be in environments where I'm comfortable in and with people who care enough to not say, "Hey, you want to go do this?" Like, you know, but
So you won't be drinking. Do you drink?
yeah,
Okay. You smoke?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay. All right. Appreciate the honesty.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.